in San Diego.
Gonna call in or something?
He can, yeah. Or he can just watch it later.
Watch it later. Okay.
What service do you guys use for that? Oh, wow. All the icons are gone. Look at that.
So are we recording now?
Yes, we are.
So we could say hi to Charlie if you want.
Yeah, you can.
Hi, Charlie. Hope you're enjoying San Diego.
I didn't finish setting this one up. This one doesn't have Mozilla.
And what we're doing, our temporary tech guy is actually setting things up to help us be using a MITS cloud for everything. It's kind of interesting. I'm a little concerned at this point. You know, it cleaned off machines, which is good. It means they should run a little bit better, probably, even the old ones. But I gotta let my Microsoft students know where to go. And he hasn't put together the instructions yet on how to go to the MITS cloud. Which again, I think is a good idea. But need to give them instructions so, you know, when they log into one of these machines and see nothing there, putting in the practices for, you know, Excel and PowerPoint stuff, or Gmetrics or some of the other tools. Gmetrics might still be on there. No, not on that one. Not on that one. Okay, I think he cleaned off too much.
Well, this one's not done being set up. I don't have Mozilla on as an icon. Which, seeing every other display, that is a standard.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was like this. There used to be a screensaver on there, but just does this now.
Yeah, so I'm not quite sure what all he's. I don't want that
I'm not gonna do anything with it, but
Anyway, so I think where we left off was going into managed communications, 10.2 in the project communications section. What we're doing here really is trying to make sure that we get information out in a timely manner to the people that need it, store it where it needs to be stored, or distribute it where it needs to go. And so we'll be using a lot of different techniques. They mentioned the sender, you know, being aware of the sender-receiver model, what choice of media that we use. Nowadays, there's so much more, well, a lot of it's still email, but we may be posting things various places too. When we have meetings, making sure that we got good agendas set up, good start and end times, get the minutes out right away, deal with conflicts as they come up. And you mentioned presentation techniques. If you can see the person presenting, okay, then you can see the body language. I think, I don't know, since I've been out of the market for a little while, a lot of companies are probably still using WebEx or GoToMeeting, just showing slides or something. So wouldn't be able to see that body language too well. Different techniques. We're going to try to build consensus among our key people and overcome any conflicts or issues that we got. And one of the techniques that they say would be helpful here, of course, is active listening. Inputs. So the resource management plan, communication stakeholder plans will feed into this. Documents like the change log, issue log, what we've learned already on this current project, and then different reports like the quality report, the risk report, stakeholder register. Again, it's not static most of the time because we've got such churn nowadays with people coming and going. So we'll probably need to have that updated one. Work performance reports, maybe some things from our enterprise environmental factors as far as the tools we can use and what we've done with past projects. Tools and techniques. Communication technology, that's that broad general term for however we communicate. Whoop, dropping it again. Various communication methods, you know, meetings, individual one-on-ones, video conferences, audio conferences, chats, a lot of different ways to do that. Skills. Well, we're going to tailor to the particular audience we're talking to. If we're talking to senior management, it's going to be different than if we're talking to our project team or our other stakeholders. But we want to make sure we're communicating well, getting good feedback, presenting things well. They mentioned PMIS here, so we probably have stored out on our web or data warehouse a lot of information that people can pull up. And we saw in that first section, we talked about pulling communication. You know, if we post a weekly report or something and people know where to go for it, they can pull it up and use it. And lots of different tools that we could use there. Project reporting, you know, we're collecting information and distributing the information on, you know, the status of our progress. You know, so we'll be comparing plans versus actuals for our schedule and our cost, various factors like that. Ding ding.
Yeah, I'm trying to turn that off.
Oh. And using different skills like the active listening, dealing with conflict, trying to resolve it, being aware of different cultural problems or distinctions we might have. Meeting management, again, is talking about that idea of really having a very specific agenda, time, start and end time for the meetings, getting minutes out right away, action items right away. And the outputs of this will be our communications, maybe some updates to our plans. Communication stakeholders plans are mentioned here. And as I said, they used to be one knowledge area, now they're two, but they still intertwine an awful lot because who are we talking to? We're talking or communicating with our stakeholders. We have some updates to our documents, to issues, lessons learned, schedule, maybe some new risks identified, maybe some new stakeholders identified, or people no longer around. And in our OPAs now, we've got information going in there. The reports we put together, both the planned ones and maybe some ad hoc things, presentations we made. And we had quite a data warehouse that had a ton of stuff in it for all sorts of meetings and presentations, both on the project level and on the program level. 10.3 then is going to be monitoring communication. So what we're trying to do here is make sure we're getting the right information out to the right people in an efficient way. And we may have some things while we're monitoring that'll trigger some changes too. Maybe we're not getting information out to all the people we need to. We've got a new vendor or new customer that we want to make sure is included. As it mentions, this can be performed throughout the project, but especially when we're doing the execution work, because that's where we're doing the bulk of our work. I think a lot of the same things feeding in, the resource, communications, and stakeholder plans, issue logs, lessons learned, communications that we've been putting together and sending out, our work performance information. Tools and techniques, our experts are gonna be key here, helping out again. They'll probably be using some of those tools from the project management information system. I mentioned data representation, so we may be using some of the things we put together, like we'll see this a little bit later, but the stakeholder engagement assessment matrix, actually when we get to chapter 13, talks about that, figuring out who's doing what and who we need to communicate with. We had a little bit of that, actually, take it back, we had that in the resource section, didn't we? So figuring out who's going to need what information, reviewing what's going on, and as people change positions or move around, you know, making sure we make those adjustments. And probably have meetings. Outputs of this, maybe updates to the work performance information, perhaps a new change request. Especially if we see something, you know, like they mentioned there, bottlenecks. If we see some kind of problem in our communication, like we've got a group that's not getting the information for whatever reason, we want to make sure we get those things fixed. And updates to our plans, updates to our documents, and even new information now going into our organizational process assets, our new reports or changes in the reports. We have a little quiz here, or exercise. So what it wants to know here is two things. So for each of these, is it formal, informal, and is it written or verbal? It's a pretty simple little exercise, I think. Giving presentations to management.
Verbal.
Verbal,
Formal.
and formal, yep. Informing a team member of poor performance the first time.
I would say informal.
Informal verbal is what they went with. I think it's kind of interesting. In my world at UPS, we would do it informal and verbal, but we would also record it in their employee records that we had to talk with them. Informing a team member of poor performance the second time.
Formal and written.
Yeah, probably formal and written.
Written.
Requesting additional resources. Anytime we go to HR, personnel administration, it's probably going to be formal and written. Yeah. Sending an email up to ask for clarification on an issue.
Okay, so what was 4 again?
Formal and written. Think of it. Anytime we're asking for people or anything from HR, or it doesn't have to be people. I'm still thinking more about people, but if we need more equipment, could be
5 would be written and formal.
written and informal. Yeah.
Informal.
Yeah. Just trying to understand that better. Updating our project management plan.
I go written and formal.
Yeah. You probably don't need this, but since you've written all the answers in, but yeah, we'll hand out for that too.
Okay.
And that's communications.
So that other handout you gave us, that was on my desk when I got here, that was basically the answers to the quiz.
That was the answer to the resource quiz,
The
yeah.
resource quiz, okay.
We were
I printed those up last time, but I didn't get them to you.
Yeah.
They're sitting on the printer when you guys left. And so,
we already did ethics 14.
we already did ethics, so we're going to jump beyond that next time into procurement. No. Where am I? Well, we're finishing up communications now, and then we're going to go into risk and procurement. But for now, we're going to go into a quiz on communications. And that quiz for
Since Friday.
Yeah, since Friday. I came in this morning and things were a little jazzed up in here. It's,
I don't want the answer key.
yeah, I'm just hoping it's a one-sided copy. That's one of the older ones.
No, I got that one too, along with it.
Is that a two-sided copy?
No, this is a one-sided copy.
Okay. The one-sided copies, I don't think I changed anything recently in communications, so it's probably okay.
Okay? You take it?
Yeah.
All right, we'll find out.
We'll find out if
It's
we
okay.
run into some discrepancies as we go on.
Well, if you, what was this first one? It looks like the same one I got here.
Like I say, most of the questions, most of these quizzes, I haven't changed much yet. I'm kind of waiting on some authorization to do it. I've got a bunch of extra helps and stuff that can help us with this. Paul actually asked me at one point to add more situational questions, and I also wanted to kind of recast this a little bit more like the exam's going to be. So no 5-answer questions, no true-false questions. I haven't gotten into that yet.
These computers are fucking slow. Yay.
Yeah, I just wanted to see further on in there if it was one of those that had
You can take a look at it.
pinlock references in there.
I haven't found any on the first page.
They just saw a couple that were printed up in the closets, that the PMP references in there.
Okay, well, I just got through the first page.
Okay.
I'll let you know if I find anything, but
Yeah, I know.
I don't see
I think
it.
they show up pretty clearly.
No, there's none.
I think I might have mentioned it last time, but one of the things to be careful of is when you get to one of those questions about the n times n minus 1 divided by 2 is understanding whether we as the project managers are included in the question or not. That can throw it off a little.
I've done the calculation on that 2 different times because of that.
Yeah.
And when the answer doesn't exist, I know which one to go with.
Yeah, I just went through that. I think I threw it, but we'll see.
So far, I think 1 has, 2 don't. Have me adding 1.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I'm almost done.
Double checking something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boy, those are big, dangerous. Maybe drovers too.
Yeah.
And just waiting. One of the things we're doing is trying to cut down on carbs. Seems like everything we've had for the last couple of weeks has been extra cookies, extra cakes, pies. Went to Jerusalem Cafe the other day, and it was great. Feast had lots of extra rice in it, and pita bread on the side. I don't like wasting things, so I had some pita bread, toasted it up this morning, boiled egg, and some pita bread. A little smaller, it'd be more tempting.
Just take off.
Got forks and spoons here. I don't think we got too many knives. Okay, well, let's go ahead and go through the.
Yeah, I'm gonna stand up for a while.
That's fine. I'll help answer number one. What percent of time do project managers spend on communicating? Well, these answers 90 or 80 looks the best. I know they said 80 to 90%, I think, in the presentation. John, you want to do
the next
number
one?
two?
Okay, I got a long one.
Yeah.
This is one of those situational ones, right? 2, you are working on an 18-month project with a small co-located team. Project sponsor and senior management are in another city and have requested weekly updates. The customer requires monthly meetings because the team members are busy with the project executing work. They would like to reduce the frequency of meetings. Which of the following best describes how status meetings should be managed on the project? So I thought all of these were good, but they wanted the best one. I selected C, provide the customer with the status report and during project executing. You do not need to hold status meetings as long as you send the key stakeholders a status report every week.
That's pretty good. They actually went with D in this case. So the frequency of meetings, as well as the format type of information to be exchanged, should be defined in the project's communication management plan during project planning. Really kind of saying up front, we should have done some more things there to make clear to everybody what we're trying to do.
All right.
Would this be one of them that if they did want to actually cut down the meetings, would they have to put in a change request to the actual planning?
I guess so, yeah. If we'd already had
Project
that.
management plan or whatever?
Yeah.
Right. A project manager has a problem with a team member's performance. What is the best form of communication of addressing this problem? Informal verbal communication?
Yeah. I know it doesn't say whether it's first or second time like we had in that little exercise, but yeah, they went with D on that one. Project team is having difficulty communicating over long distances. There are 30 members from 2 countries, then 5 people from China are added to the project. How many communication channels are they? Those would be 35 times 34 divided by 2. Comes out to be C, 595. That's a case where we're included. It doesn't say I have 30 members.
Okay, 5. Which of the following aspects of leadership is most important to the for a project manager? And I put down C, communication.
Yeah, I mean, we're in the communication chapter. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Other things.
And especially after you answered number 1 with a 90%. It would seem that the answer to 5 would be communication.
Right.
So that's what I went with.
Yeah. You want to let your team know the weekly project status report is now due by 4 p.m. on Thursdays instead of Friday mornings. Which type of communication would you use? Informal written communication? C?
Yeah, C is good. Not an update to our plans or anything. We're just saying, let's have that a little bit earlier. Team member is visiting a manufacturing plant of one of the suppliers. Which of the following is most important thing to be done in any telephone calls with the project manager might make with the team member? In these cases, what they were trying to get at, their phone calls probably going to involve some noise and stuff, especially in the manufacturing plant. So ask the team member to repeat back what the project manager says. I don't think I told you my little story on this. When I was at Harvester, I was walking down the aisle with one of the managers among all the machines and everything, lots of noise and stuff going on. And we did this little dance as we were going down the aisle there. I was trying to get on the left side, he was trying to get on the left side. Finally stopped and looked at him and said, I'm sorry, I can't hear in my left ear. He goes, neither can I. So after we discovered that we're going to actually talk to each other, we'd have to be face to face or go off into an office where it was quiet. We were doing this little dance because I was always trying to get on the left side, and so was he.
There you go. See, that's a barrier to communications right there.
Yeah.
That's a real barrier. Okay, I guess I'm up next.
Yep.
Another wordy one here. 8, the requirements of many stakeholders were not approved for inclusion in your project. Therefore, you had a difficult time gaining formal approval of the project management plan. The stakeholders argued and held up the project while they held meeting after meeting about their requirements. The project was finally approved and work began 6 months ago. All the following would be good preventative actions to implement, except, and I selected D, hold meetings with the stakeholders to go over the work that will not be added to the project.
Yeah, let's have another meeting.
Yeah, let's have
Meeting
some more meetings on something that wasn't included in the project,
Right.
to let you know that it wasn't
It's still
included.
not included.
Yeah, which you already know.
Yeah.
There we go.
Communication is key to the success of a project. As a project manager, you have 5 stakeholders with whom you need to communicate. A new stakeholder has been added with whom you also need to communicate. How many communication channels do you now have? 21B.
21B. And actually, I don't know if they'll trick us by having 21, but also the answer for 6 instead of 7. They might,
It's not,
but fortunately in this case they didn't.
no, they didn't do that one.
The 1 plus 5 plus 1, actually 7 total people involved. Project manager overhears a conversation between 2 stakeholders that are discussing how unhappy they are with the impacts of the project on their own departments. Stakeholder A asks if the project is on time. Stakeholder B replies that the SPI is 1.02. Stakeholder A asks if the project manager knows stakeholder B's concern. Stakeholder B responds that he's not sure. What's the best thing for the project manager to do? 1.02 is almost on plan, so schedule-wise, you wouldn't be too worried about that. Of these answers, what they went with was D, arrange a meeting with both stakeholders to allow them to voice any concerns they may have.
Can we just stop? I think I'm at 100.
Stop right now?
Yeah, we need to stop. I'm at 100%.
I can stop.
I'm
Probably a
running-
little more
I'm
straightforward.
running 80%.
Yeah, we should stop.
Yeah.
We both passed.
Both passed.
Yeah, we both passed.
Congratulations.
I don't know.
Oh, we got
I'm-
10 more questions.
I'm missing some of these situational ones. I didn't select that one. I selected B, make a presentation to all stakeholders regarding the status of the project.
Not necessary to include everybody. Because it's only 2 people.
Just got 2
bitching about
people
it.
that are voicing their concerns.
Yeah. Even if they're directors or senior VPs, who cares? It's only them 2. No one else cares.
Good.
Perhaps, yeah.
Okay, so is it my
Hopefully
turn?
People care, but they're not concerned.
Not about those concerns.
Yeah.
Is it my turn now?
Yeah, number 11.
Okay, another wordy one
Another
here.
wordy one. You're catching all the wordy ones.
You are the project manager and are responsible for the development of a mall. As with any construction project, there will be multiple iterations of blueprints and engineering drawings. So you've decided to create an online database that can be used to query the documents by name, type, date, etc. This is an example of what type of communication tool, and I put down project management information system, PIMS.
Yeah, C's good general category for that.
You're working on a project with a fixed free contract.
Free?
Fixed
Fixed
fee.
fee contract.
Nothing free around here.
Yeah. Therefore, communications should tend towards, and I had no clue. I put formal written communication.
Yeah, any kind of contract stuff is going to end up being formal and written. Communications management plan should include all the following except, now these things. Risk
B and
register.
C were definitely no's. I think
Yeah.
it's D.
Yeah, D is the one, risk register.
But the person that issues weekly reports, it's not distinctly said that though with the guidelines. It was persons that would do reports, persons that would do communications. So it was more implied that A was also.
Yeah, probably included, yeah.
Yeah, A was included if you look. Okay, 14. You are holding a kickoff meeting for the build out of a new data center. This will be the largest, most costly, and most complex project you have worked on in your career. You have counted up the number of stakeholders, vendors, and project team members to be 52. In order to stress to the group how important and difficult communication will be on the project, we want to tell them how many channels of communication exist on the project. What would you tell them? And I did C, 1,326.
Yep, that's correct.
You are working on a project where all the team members are located in geographically different areas. Therefore, all the communication is done via email and chat. It is sometimes hard to get the true meaning of these messages because you can't see facial expressions, body language, or hear tone of voice. This is an example of
Oh, yeah?
decoding, deep or medium,
How about noise?
of noise.
Yeah.
I don't know. I screwed that one up completely. It's the first one I got wrong.
Oh, man.
Okay, you're still 95 or 6% or something.
Left 14 out of 15.
Your project calls for updating lessons learned databases, web portals, knowledge repositories with a very large audience. What communication tool would be appropriate for such circumstances? In this case, they went with full communication. And PMP, by the way, talks about this on page 374. Post something out there and let people put it up at their, I want to say leisure, not leisure necessarily, but if you've got a large group, probably best to have that kind of thing.
Okay, 17, you are reviewing a project with Tom, a new project manager. While discussing the communication requirements with Tom, you find that he has an impression that a project with N number of stakeholders has N communication channels. You are aware that this is wrong. What is the right answer? And I think I went with C here.
Yep, C is a good answer for that. That's the formula for communication.
That's the formula for the number of channels.
Yep, N times N minus 1 divided by 2.
N is the number of stakeholders.
Which of the following process is not included in project communication knowledge area? And I picked D, identifying stakeholders.
That's correct.
That would be obvious.
Which of the following is not a type of communication? It's kind of similar to that earlier one. Well, noise is not a form of communication. Some people aren't familiar with paralingual.
Yeah, I put paralingual.
Paralingual is just meaning you know more than one language. You know two languages is what's saying.
All right.
A pair of languages.
Well, my next answer would have been noise.
Yeah.
Okay. D. 20. Dan is the project manager assigned for a large financial project. After 6 months, project is about, after 6 months, the project is about halfway done. It involves 10 different sellers and 40 members of the company on the project team. Dan wants to quickly review where the project now stands. Which of the following reports would be most helpful in finding such information? And I went with D, progress.
And D is correct. And they got a little explanation. I'm going to give you an explanation sheet now that they were talking about it. Quickly, what they say. Keyword is quickly. So the status report is too detailed. Forecast report only looks to the future. So the progress report would be the right answer. And Rita actually talks about that in her stuff too.
85 in the end. Not too bad
Not too
percentage
bad.
wise.
I'm going to give you answer sheets and some explanations on these.
Got 80%.
Well.
I did 80%.
That's pretty good.
That's still passing.
Yep,
Oh,
we
yeah.
passed. Let's get
Pass.
certified.
Very likely
Good
that will
job.
still be passing. I'm going to go ahead and close this session, so we might as well take a break now.